huge news here on the labor front, guys. So we have the largest healthcare worker strike of all time. Kaiser Permanente workers prepare for possibly the largest healthcare strike in U.S. history. So this article is from, a few days back, but it's happening. It's happening, unless there's some last minute change that I'm unaware of here. But look at this. Kaiser Permanente patients may be affected as over 75,000 workers could go on strike if negotiations over labor contracts for unionized workers are not finalized. Discussions between the coalition of Kaiser Permanente unions and the healthcare provider have been unsuccessful so far, as workers say they're struggling with a staffing crisis that is affecting the quality of patient care. By the way, this dates all the way back to COVID, the staffing crisis. They are severely understaffed. Workers are asking for across-the-board pay increases, retiree medical plans, and protections against subcontracting and outsourcing. Across the nation, workers are ready to walk off the job for 3 days starting Wednesday at 6 a.m. in what has been described as potentially the largest healthcare worker strike in U.S. history. SEIU, United Healthcare Workers West, announced on September 14th that 98% of its members voted to approve the October 4th to 6th strike in protest of unfair labor practices. 98%, man. You know they have some legitimate beefs when 98% are like, we have to strike. That's astonishing. Kaiser Permanente is the largest nonprofit healthcare provider in the U.S. It reported profits topping $3 billion in the first 6 months of 2023. So for half a year, $3 billion in profits for the non-profit, which is severely understaffed and is underpaying their workers. So I got one more here for you on this. This is in the New York Times. They say, as the talks continue, the sides have yet to agree on a minimum hourly wage for workers and the rate of annual increases over the life of the 4-year contract. The union wants a $25 hourly minimum wage, and increases of 7% in the first 2 years and 6.25% in the 2 years afterward, according to its latest public proposal. Kaiser has countered with the minimum hourly wages of between $21 and $23 next year. Okay, so they're not miles apart, but they're $4 or so apart, increasing by $1 a year. Raises would vary among locations, with workers in some places like Northern California receiving annual increases of 4% for 4 years, while some others would receive an annual increase, of 3.5% the first year, followed by 3% annual increases. So they're not leagues apart. But again, I think the biggest point of contention isn't even necessarily the pay. It's being severely understaffed, where the workers are coming out there and saying, look, man, this isn't even just about us being overworked, which it is about that. It's also about the quality of patient care, that we're so severely understaffed, there's such a shortage, that we can't even guarantee the level of care that we want to guarantee. And so, look, this is a big deal, and this is on the heels of, the currently ongoing UAW strike with the Big Three. This is on the heels of, the Amazon labor union becoming a thing, and the Starbucks union doing its thing. And so we're seeing labor more emboldened than they've ever been in certainly my entire life, for sure. And at the same time, you're seeing polls go up and up and up in terms of support for unions. And I think that's very simply because people realize, hey, nobody's going to save us but us. And collective bargaining makes it so that workers can fight for a fair piece of the pie and a reasonable future and better benefits and potentially fewer hours and higher wages, and to give yourself a better work-life balance and a more comfortable existence. And workers are just tired of struggling to get by, man. I mean, we talk about the numbers all the time, but depending on which poll you believe, could be anywhere from like 60% to 80% of the country is living paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford, an unexpected emergency. And then never mind when you add in, Jesus Christ, all the people with medical debt that they can't pay off, and the record high credit card debt that people are struggling with. It's like, we're not in a good place. I mean, I understand that the traditional economic indicators are positive. I get that. I understand that the unemployment rate is very low, and that inflation has come down dramatically, and that, we do have a whole bunch of good news on the jobs front in the sense that now we have 800,000 manufacturing jobs come back to the U.S. All that stuff is true. But what's also true is we still live largely in like the gig economy era, and people are struggling to get by. They need to take multiple jobs, and you have more young people than ever still living at home with their parents. And so there's still like a really dark underbelly of the U.S. economy that's not really addressed nearly as much as it should be. And again, one of the biggest problems with the economy right now, and I think this is Biden's Achilles heel at the moment, is they got rid of all of the pandemic era social safety net expansion protections. And so now when the child tax credit goes away and the earned income tax credit extension goes away and the unemployment insurance stuff goes away and the Medicaid expansion goes away in many states, like all of those things put together, and like you had this robust social safety net that was doing a decent job during the pandemic, and now everybody's out there to fend for themselves. I think that explains why you see a lot of these polls that talk about, no, the economy's horrible. Like I'm against what's happening with the economy. I think that's why. I think when you pulled the rug out from underneath people by getting rid of that social safety net, that hurts, man. That hurts. And so all the other indicators can't make up for the fact that people are fundamentally struggling. And so look, to these workers, I say the same thing I say to the UAW workers: solidarity. I think their demands are reasonable. So I hope that, they just meet their demands. And that would be a win for everybody, because then people would be back at work. Apparently, they have been hiring more people, but they just need to hire more people in order to really meet the needs. And so we'll see what happens moving forward, but I hope these workers get what they're asking for. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.